First question, why is Stockholm so attractive?
Right, there is a lot of excitement in the Swedish equities market right now. Just last week, you had the CEO of Nova on.
Yeah.
They're going public, seeking a $3.7 billion valuation. The week before that, we had the CEO of Verisure on, a Swiss company, but they've chosen to go public in Stockholm, right? It's not just two of these companies. It's not an anomaly. There's a big, massive trend over here. Companies have raised $2 billion in Sweden this year so far, and that's about 8 times more than what's happened in London. So that's a huge, big jump. What's behind all of this? I spoke to bankers from DNB Carnegie as well as Nordea. These two firms have been responsible for bringing many of these companies to the public market. They say it has to do with the culture in Sweden. People are willing to accept risk to invest in IPOs, and they have the entire ecosystem built up for that. One banker said, if you take a taxi ride, people are willing to share their tips on what they've invested. That's what the culture is. If you compare that to the UK, for instance, I know a bunch of pension funds that don't have any equities at all. Take ITV's $2 billion pension fund. All they have is bonds and properties. So you have an ecosystem in Sweden which is geared for investing in equities. That's a major driver there.
It's interesting you bring up the element around the culture, because we did notice, for instance, when we spoke to the CEO of Nova, he made the comment that they are listing in Stockholm because they are Nordic and they inherited this DNA ultimately. When you think about how Stockholm is performing and all of the reasons you listed there, what else can the rest of Europe ultimately learn from Stockholm?
Right. So, like, if you think about it, there is a bit of like Americanism in Sweden, right?
That's it, yeah.
So there's a culture for investing in equities, but there is a couple of elements that could perhaps derail the IPO market now. Let's imagine if you don't have the current companies that are going public, if they end up not performing so well after they list, right? So that could perhaps derail the current IPO market. And now, the rest of Europe is looking for that sort of performance and making sure that when they do bring on companies, they don't tank right after they go public. That's one thing other stock markets will be keeping a very close eye on, including in Sweden as well.
Do you know if there's any correlation here with the fact that the Nasdaq also runs the market in Stockholm?
There isn't a correlation in that way, but what people tell me is that because Nasdaq runs a whole bunch of Nordic IPO stock exchange, if a company were to list in, let's say, Stockholm, the company could perhaps seek a dual listing in other markets that could, in that way, diversify its investor base potentially.